Welcome to the Resistance Broadcast, everybody. TRB, the podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. However you know us, that makes it a little too happen, people. I don't know. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are flip-flopping on you guys a little bit here. Typically, Thursday is our discussion show where we throw out hypotheticals and do fun segments and get our brains cooking on theories and ideas and speculation, stuff like that. But because Makes It a Little Too Happen was 3 days ago, we are doing our news coverage and our takes on all the latest news in Star Wars today. So it's going to be a little bit of a different episode, but it's still the same old TRB action. With me, as always, James and Lacey. Guys, 3 days removed from Make Solo 2 happen. It was a smash hit, in my opinion, with fans. I don't know that we have the official data on how well it did, but I do know it surpassed last year in terms of traffic and usage by quite a bit. I think by like 20% or more, at least in organic tweets and a lot more activity on Instagram and stuff like that. So the movement's growing, and hopefully we don't have to do another one, which would mean that they are going to be doing a solo follow-up. But had a lot of fun. People really seem to, coming out of it, really appreciate that we put it together and that it was overall a very positive thing. So any final takeaways before we put Makes It a Little Too Happen Day in our rear view?
Just thank you to anybody who was, participating in creating content. I think one thing, it's great to be retweeting and liking and saying, hey, I like this, but we saw a lot of stuff that was like, hey, I'm doing something special for the day, and that was always really cool. I'm going to create this little image, or I'm going to pull out my cosplay and hold up this sign or whatever. Yeah, it was just really cool. Thanks to everybody who participated.
Yeah, it means a lot that people took the time to create stuff, support us, share their love for Solo. I think that we found a lot of new people that like Solo this year, which is fun. I personally loved the virtual cantina on Monday night. We had a lot of fun with a bunch of our Star Wars friends and listeners, just geeking about Star Wars and telling each other stories of how we got into it and what we were thinking about on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. We had a really good story from our listener Scott and his daughter Emma, and she met Aaron Kellyman at Celebration, and she felt like Enfys Nest was her character because it looked like her, and it was just so wonderful. And I love hearing things like that. So just like James said, the sharing of everything was really, really cool. And just hearing your stories and connections to Solo means a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a feel-good day. And by the end of the day, my whole family had gone to sleep, and I just threw on Solo, and I saw that you did too, James, or you're really finishing where you picked off the other day.
Yeah.
But and I was so tired, and my brain was just absolutely cooked. But I was I sat there and I watched it, just kind of like me and Solo, just hanging out. Hey man, it was a hell of a day. I hope you get a sequel. I'm sitting there talking to Solo, but it was even though I was as fried as I was, I feel. Just right now, and even doing the virtual cantina and all that stuff, I feel like my spirit, as a Star Wars fan, was a little bit recharged, because we got to be on social media and stuff, and there's always a lot of nonsense, and people always negative voices are usually louder and stuff like that. And that day
made me
feel
mentally.
It made me feel like being at a celebration. I think that I said that on the cantina, because even people who were well, I don't know if I want Han and Chewie, but I'd love to see this. And oh yeah, I get that. And I prefer to see Han and Chewie, but I see what you're saying. It was a lot of just nice exchanges about it. And even people don't like Solo were you guys are doing a good thing and this is cool. And so that's my biggest takeaway from it. If they don't end up doing anything, the fact that we were able to cultivate something in 2020 on Star Wars Twitter, as they call it, that was a positive thing, is a hell of a thing to hang our hats on. So I'll take away that at the very least, but hopefully more. But if you are new to the Resistance broadcast, we know we have a lot of people at least followed us on social media accounts and said, oh, I just found you guys, or what have you. Make sure you subscribe to us, because we have 2 episodes every week, and we also do the Mando Fan Show tomorrow on Fridays. So you can do that on YouTube if you're watching. Hey, I see you. How are you? I don't really see you. Don't worry. Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, any podcast app that you have. And I didn't discuss this with you guys, but I'm thinking about doing another Rate the Resistance for June on Apple Podcasts. And maybe we'll give away a cool shirt or something like that. But rate us on Apple Podcasts if you haven't yet, 5 stars. It really helps us out a lot and really only takes you a few seconds, so we appreciate that. And thanks for joining us. It's always a good time here on TRB, so anytime we can get more people on board, we really appreciate it. But let's get into this now. We have the Resistance Report, which some stuff's not brand new news, but we got to give our takes on this stuff because it's pretty cool stuff. So, James, why don't you guide us through what has been going on in Star Wars news?
It's the Resistance.
All right, well, one thing for sure that is fairly new news, we got an update on the High Republic books. So, as everything is right now, things are just delayed, right? We had a date locked in, it's getting moved back, and the High Republic books are in fact delayed from August. They were going to start coming out in August to now the earliest is going to be 2021. And this includes the whole slew. If you guys remember, we went through like so many of these different books, and just with the first one getting delayed back to 2021, it just pushes all of them back. So it's going to be a little bit longer before we get to learn a little bit more about the High Republic. John, what did you think of this? Is this a bummer to you?
I don't know that it's a bummer because it hasn't been on the forefront for me, the High Republic, and I feel like since their unveiling event, it hasn't been the forefront at all. I haven't really heard too much about the High Republic, aside from like a Cavan Scott or Charles Soule like saying like, really excited about what I got coming out soon and can't wait to share it and that sort of thing. So a lot of people are speculating about it. Is it because does that mean its celebration was canceled and they were going to do something big there? It's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think the publishing industry works that way where they're relying on fan events for their dates on releasing material. I do kind of think, and I know I've been like the, not conspiracy guy here, but real heavy speculation on maybe some issues with this thing, because I had said I really think that the Benioff and Weiss movies were supposed to be pairing right alongside with these books, because they themselves said that their movies were going to be taking place a couple hundred years before the prequels, which is right where this thing is. And, that type of medieval look, and you look at the characters on the High Republic and you're like, those guys and gals could be in Game of Thrones. They got the belts and the swords and all that stuff and the holsters, and it's very medieval looking and Renaissance or whatever you want to call it. So I think they reeled a bit, and I know they were supposed to make some big announcements at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and they pushed that out, and now they're pushing it again. And I don't know, I worked in the publishing industry for 10 years, and this was supposed to come out 2 months from now or 3 months from now, and to think that, and they didn't really give a reason why. They're like, well, because of the situation, we're pushing it.
Yeah.
I
have you guys looked out the window recently? Yeah, they're coming out in 2021.
Right. So
and basically
they could release the digital versions. These books are done if they were happy with them. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I think they may be having some concerns about how this is going to be received. I don't think the recent E.K. Johnson book has been well received. I think the initial reviews on that aren't very good. I don't think they liked the post-event buzz or lack thereof that they got from their event announcing these books, and I think they may have some concerns on how these things are taken, and maybe they're trying to do some retooling and like, maybe we should add more Yoda into these books, or maybe we should get some more familiarity here. I think they're using this as an opportunity to make their products better. That's my guess, because if you had the digital versions and these books are ready to go, you don't need to worry about manufacturing warehouses and plants to put actual bound page books together. You got it, and you just release it. So I think there's a little bit more to that. I'm not trying to be negative about it. It just, something's not right, And that letter from Michael Sig Lane was very like cryptic, and it wasn't like this is exactly why we're delaying it. It was like, well, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, Lacey, what do you think? Do you think the High Republic is in trouble? I'm not really saying John's saying that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in trouble, but it is a little suspicious. The letter was a little, like John said, cryptic. It was very like, always in motion is the future and all the stuff. And they released this big fancy video at the press event of them, brainstorming and working together on these books like, a year and a half ago? So it's just strange to me that it shouldn't take this long to put these books together. And from my understanding is that they're done. So why would they then delay the production or release of these books? And to me, that says they're trying to make changes.
Even if they're not done, this isn't like a multi-person process. Like these are these authors working on things, and then they send things over. They email them, to people, and they approve them, and they read through them, and they add, more people. Like they CC others, and I don't really see what the big deal is as far as like delaying these. Like, oh man, now everybody has to stay at home, and they can't. Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is all the authors.
Done, right?
Right. Since the announcement was made back in February. Oh my God, what day is it? All the authors have talked about how they're working on other projects and they're doing other things. So if they're delaying this, then why are they working on other, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. Why would you delay something if they're clearly stating that these things are done?
So not everybody has read this thing, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it does start with always in motion is the future. It starts with, that's a quote from Yoda, and, he's...
Thanks, Michael!
It applies to the It applies to the High Republic. Then the next one is, this is what the High Republic is. It's a massive, interconnected, cross-publisher initiative, right? And it explains that. Here's where, this is the nitty-gritty. This is the announcement. The next statement is, given these unprecedented times, we have made the decision to move the launch of the Star Wars High Republic to January 2021 to ensure that this launch is as grand and epic as it deserves to be. Then from there on, it's just like, talking about like, it's great, trust us, we're sad, but,
here's some buzzwords that you can try to pick apart.
I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and I thank you for reading this. And it's not really anything that gives any sort of explanation. It just says we're moving it to ensure that the launch is as grand and as epic as it deserves to be.
If now more than ever, if you have a whole book series coming out, this is the time you want to give it to people when they're sitting at home. Why do you think Nintendo Switches are just out of stock everywhere? Also,
like the magic of flipping a calendar to 2021 doesn't guarantee anything in terms of pandemic or this global thing that's going on with this virus.
Yeah, we don't know where we're going to be. It's only been 2-3 months now. Look how the world has changed.
When I saw like the first book by Charles Soule is going to be coming out in January, I'm like, January, huh? Of 2021? So Q1 of that fiscal year and not involved in the fiscal year of 2020 where Disney's absolutely taking it on the nose. Interesting. So that has me also thinking from that skeptical side, like Disney's just like on all facets, like, do you have things that maybe could be a little better? Like, let's bump those to Q1 of 2021 because we are getting hammered this year. And the last thing we need is 5 books bombing because they aren't as good as we thought they were, and they were supposed to be. And
they're the setup, and we want to be really excited about them. And
they're like, they were supposed to be paired up with these movies, and those guys took off for Netflix, and like, I think there's a lot more going on to this than just, we know everyone's having a hard time, and we're gonna move it, and here's a Yoda quote. Can someone give me a Yoda quote? Someone give me a Yoda quote, please. Okay, that works. Good.
This was supposed to be a whole new era of Star Wars, like the brand new, we're beyond the Skywalker saga. This is what's next. And to me, it's just like, and everyone was like, okay.
What about rumors that there's a video game attached and that it's the video game that actually got delayed, but they can't make that announcement because there was
I'm cool
never a
with
video
that.
game announced.
Look,
So they're like, well, the video game's getting slowed down, so we were going to launch it with a video game, or we were going to launch it with an announcement for a video game, but we don't know when that's going to come out, so we have to move the whole thing, even though all of this other stuff is done. You guys don't follow Apple stuff at all, but this happened with Apple. They prepared all of these products to work with a new product, and that product failed, and they couldn't get it out, and they just kind of ignored it for a long time, and everything was put on hold, and they were like, they weren't announcing things, but there were people saying like, hey, they're sitting on these products, and they're not putting them out. In fact, AirPods 2 were one of those before the Pros came out. That's why the 2s came out, and then like 4 months later, the Pros came out. It's because they were sitting on the 2s. And when you buy the product, it says, hey, this is to be used with air power. And it's like, air power doesn't exist. You failed. It never came out.
wow,
And
yeah.
there's images and in the booklets and everything of how it works with the air power product. And it's like, that's not it. It's not a
where did this,
real thing.
Remind me where this rumor about the video game came from. Was it substantial, or was it?
It was before the announcement.
No, but
It was before the announcement.
was it on like
yeah.
was it someone on a Twitter account, or was it on like a trade? Was it a?
I feel like I saw Clayton talking about it at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to say
To
like...
say it wasn't happening. That's what his tweet was, is that it's not about a video game. The event.
Yes, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I can't remember the people, so I'm afraid to say who specifically reported it, but I really feel like it was out of the people who leak information.
Oh, okay.
Like those websites and those people. They were the ones that were saying, hey, we're hearing this is... There's a video game, or it's tied to a video game. And
Which
I
is
don't
where
know.
that...
not to mention,
Look.
we keep hearing over and over that there's, all these animated series like a Rebels something sequel plus another. We keep hearing that, and I don't know, maybe they are what is it called where you like green light and like thrust, like put it into high production.
I'll say this:
get it out as soon as
I
possible.
will not be surprised if they backpedal hype on this High Republic stuff, like where you don't hear them saying this is the next era in Star Wars storytelling, and they're just kind of say like, here's some books that took place then.
It's just crazy to me. If you go back to the whole event, they had a video with Doug Chang doing concept art.
Yeah.
Like, why would they get him to do the concept art for a book? I'm sorry, that to me alone is like, he has nothing better to do.
The Game of Thrones theme comes in, and those guys are like, bye.
I'm sorry, he did the whole Rogue One book.
Winter is leaving. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm calling shenanigans.
I'm just saying, just look for when the promotion of this stuff comes, because obviously they're going to do another Lucasfilm Publishing panel in October if New York Comic Con happens, and they're going to be like, coming out in 3 months, High Republic, here it comes. And we're like, we had just had this last year. Are you doing the same script as last year?
No new information.
And they're going to be like, and now the next wave in Star Wars storytelling. It's going to be like, so 200 years before the prequels, this happened.
Well, they said they're making
Buy your books on
announcements still.
paperback.
Yeah, they said they're making announcements still this summer. Like, they still said things are coming.
I'm just saying they're not going to be hyping it as like this is the next saga or the next
Right.
like they were before.
I
And
still look forward to Charles Soule's book. I'll still read it.
I am not trying to like. I'm not
this
saying,
is not in response to you. I'm just saying in general.
and I'm not saying one word about the quality of these books. They're probably they could very well be absolutely killer. Like, well, Claudia Gray's involved with this, Charles Soule, Cavan Scott,
Yep.
Justina Ireland, and the Last Shot guy. And
Jose Older.
yeah, I'm just kidding, but
Daniel Jose Older.
no, but and they're probably going to be really good. I'm just saying the optics of this are a little weird to me, and I think they're going to backpedal the hype on their importance to what they thought they were going to be, because I really do think they were going to be tied to those Benny
Right.
Effenwise movies. I
Yeah,
really
I
do.
mean, the timing is just right. We talked about this months ago, but
Well, guess what we get before we get High Republic?
The Mandalorian?
Kenobi. No,
Oh.
We do not Kenobi. That's like 2 years.
Did you see Sam Witwer on some podcast or something recreating that scream, and he
he did.
blew his mic up?
He did he had to go back like 10 feet.
His mic was like He just absolutely blew it up. It was amazing.
The Mandalorian season 2 is coming this fall. And we are really excited about it, mostly because we have some new casting announcements as per pretty much the news for the past couple months. So this is kind of spoilery. I don't know if anybody has somehow managed to avoid this news, but we are going to be talking about somebody who's cast and who that character is to be rumored to be playing. So from this point on, you might want to skip ahead or whatever.
Unless you've been in a Sarlacc pit for the last 30 years, you've heard this news.
Yes. So Timothy Olyphant has been cast in The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this is coming from Screen Rant, and after they put out... Slash Film. After they put this story out, about a week later, they went into more detail and said that they believe that Timothy Olyphant is going to be playing... Wait, am I wrong on this? Now I'm unsure.
Cobb Vanth.
They said... Did they say Cobb Vanth or they said Boba Fett?
I think they said Cobb Vanth. But no, they said he's going to be wearing Boba Fett's armor. And
that's what it was. Okay, that's where I'm confused. Okay. Yeah. They said he was going to be wearing Boba Fett's armor, and that since it had already been reported that Boba Fett was going to be played by Tamara Morrison. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm screwing up all the names.
It's been a long week for James.
Well, it's all over the place. It's like, is
kidding.
This guy playing Rex? Is he playing Boba Fett?
Yeah.
Is he playing a clone? Who's this guy? It's Cobb Vanth, but it's not. It's
Star
Boba
Wars
Fett.
Rumors.
Oh my gosh! Like it's all over the place. And then all these stories seem to be coming from different trades and different outlets and different time frames.
Well, I heard Timothy Olyphant was supposed to be in the Benioff and Weiss movies, and then no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so sorry for kind of that crash explanation of all this news. But Lacey, let's try to get sorting through all of this.
I don't mean to...
What do you think?
To push this back to you, James, but I'm actually more interested in what you would say first, because this is based on the character from the Aftermath series, right? Chuck Wendig?
Yes.
And have you read those books?
Well, if he's playing that character.
Yeah. Have you read those books?
Yes.
I would like to hear your perspective first, because I haven't read those books.
But here's the thing, is like, we don't know much about this character. He's not a character from the books. He's
the
thing
sheriff.
About the Aftermath. Yeah, well, the thing about the Aftermath, thing about the Aftermath books is that they tell one story, but like in between every couple chapters, there's just these things that are like interludes.
Sure.
And they're like totally random somewhere in the galaxy, and they don't really have anything to do with any bigger picture.
Right.
And this character, Cobb Vanth, is like, oh, here are the clothes he's wearing, and they seem to match the description of Boba Fett, but they never clarify it.
Didn't he get him from Jawas, though?
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, he got... Yeah, everything about his story seems to be like, hey, if you want to believe that this is the Boba Fett armor, then that lines up. Because he gets them on Tatooine, he gets them from Jawas, they're described as Mandalorian, they have a jetpack, and they're these colors, and... I mean, everything about it was just described the way that you're like, oh, that's probably Boba Fett's armor, but they never clarify it. I think they just leave it up to interpretation.
Yeah. I wonder.
So, yeah.
Like, I think about, because he's like a town, like, sheriff, like the governor in The Walking Dead on Tatooine.
He's always the sheriff.
On Tatooine, Cobb Vanth. And then everyone last year was like, oh, I heard the frequency signal of Boba Fett approaching Fennec Shan, and it looks like there's the armor, and it looks like that's Boba Fett. So now people are like, that's Cobb Vanth who's coming up to Fennec Shan, and then it makes you think, like, does Cobb Vanth know Fennec Shan? Or they're on Tatooine, so that would make sense too. So it's a lot of logic going into people thinking that that's that character, and then... It makes you wonder what's Boba Fett gonna look like then if he's in this show. Is he gonna be showing up in like champion sweatpants and like with his helmet still on? Like, where's my stuff, man? Give me my stuff back. I need my armor back. Come on. But yeah, I think that would make sense. I like Timothy Olyphant though. I'll say that. Like, I think the earliest thing I saw him in was Scream 2, And he played. He was like the, like when sequels come out, but the original actors from the first movie aren't there anymore. He was like he was like the new Matthew Lillard from Scream 1. He was like the boyfriend's best friend, and then he's like the killer and stuff like that. And he was in.
Spoiler alert! Jeez.
I mean, it's a 23-year-old like not very good sequel. So I think
I know. I just always say that to you when you say.
They are making like
from,
Scream 5 though. I think I just heard recently, but and he was like the bad guy in Die Hard 4, and that was all right. But I guess him doing these 2 Western style shows kind of fit this niche where he would maybe be able to play that type of role. The one thing I will say about this though, the guy, I don't know when this happened, but he's got a fresh, like glow in the dark set of veneers. Next time you look at Timothy Olyphant, this dude is just like. So I guess veneers are going to be canon in Star Wars. We'll see.
He's the boyfriend from The Girl Next Door.
Yes.
That's how,
yeah, he's like the porn
That's
director.
who
or
he
whatever,
is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I couldn't picture him. I knew he was in Die Hard, and surprisingly, I've seen Die Hard 4. But I couldn't picture him, and I was like, he's some jerk in some movie, and which movie is it? That's what it is.
To me, he will always be that character, and he will also be the guy from Justified, even though I never watched that show,
Yes,
and I
'cause the
have literally no
commercials.
clue what it's about. I don't even know what era it takes place in. You
Neither
tell
do
me
I.
that show takes place in the 1800s, I'd be like, okay. You take place in the 1970s, I'd be like,
So
okay.
I think
I literally have no clue.
I'm the
think-
same way, but I've seen the
I
commercial.
just see
Yeah.
him like doing this, like the artwork for it. Or
I was
something.
just about to start that show too. Which I
Really?
think I'm going to. I think that one's modern, but then Deadwood, which he's on HBO, takes place in like Back to the Future 3 times, like late 1800s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that just blew my mind that he's the evil guy in that movie, in like every movie, but in
And the Girl Next Door.
Yeah, 'cause
That's
I couldn't
I love how
picture
that's
it.
how you know him.
I couldn't
That movie
picture
is
it
so
in my mind.
bad.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I think it's hilarious, but
Did wonders
I just
for
like
the career of
remember
Isaac
him
Wilson.
being a jerk, and I know that he's a bad guy in a lot of movies. But like there was something about that. where I
Literally
was
plays
like,
a
he's
serial
really-
killer in Scream 2 and a global terrorist in Live Free or Die Hard. But you're like, he was really mean in
He
that
was a
one.
jerk.
He wouldn't give those guys that videotape. Like, what the hell?
He has that bad guy look to him. Like
I mean, he's a
what's
very
his name?
handsome guy.
Yes, of course, but he has a very bad guy look. Like what's his
He's
name?
also in
Orson
the-
Krennic is the
he's
same
also
way.
in the-
Ben Mendelsohn is like the same way. He has that like bad guy look.
St. Clair or something?
Oh, where like
Show?
Drew Barrymore is like a vampire?
Yeah.
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 Oh, yes.
Something like that.
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, he's
I thought that
actually
was
in
weird.
a lot of stuff, I think. But
Santa Clara Diet, I think it's called.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say to actually add to this podcast, because listeners are probably like, Lacey, no one cares what
Yeah,
you're saying
like-
right now.
Yeah, who is this guy? I don't
So
care.
I'm not surprised that he's in the show because to me, he always plays like a sheriff or he's like Westerns, like Justified. So it makes sense to me. I think he's a great actor. He's going to add something to the show. But man, have we been getting every storyline and character of Mandalorian season 2. By the time it shows up, we're going to know the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like there's someone involved in this season that is passing off information. That's total speculation, but I feel like there's somebody involved in casting that's like,
Well, you know,
yo, these trades, I got
Or
scoops
yo,
for you.
let me get, because it's all about like getting to know people. So
I don't think like The Mandalorian doesn't need advertisement or publicity
Sure.
really
right.
at this point. Like maybe season 1 I can kind of get that to get, some buzz going.
No, he's saying that someone's
No,
just
I'm saying
telling
somebody
people.
they
That's
don't-
no, and I'm agreeing
yeah.
with you. I'm saying
Okay.
I know that Disney and Lucasfilm a lot of times will give information to trades because they want more people than people who just go to StarWars.com to learn about their product. That just makes sense. Give it to Entertainment Weekly. Give it to, Bresnikan at Vanity Fair. Makes total sense.
Sure.
This stuff, it's like, I agree. There's got to be something like going on here because some of this stuff, like the Ahsoka thing, I believe was supposed to be a surprise without a doubt, and then the chips kind of the dominoes fall from that, because then you have the Sabine rumor, the Rex rumor, which all probably may not have surfaced if the Ahsoka thing didn't first. So I agree with you.
Katie Sackhoff.
Yes, right. Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
I mean, Timothy Olyphant. I mean, and then on top of that too, like a bunch of fake ones too, like
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Obviously, directors. Jamie Lee Curtis was one. There was another. There was another big name too that was like
Michael Biehn.
shut down pretty quickly. Oh yeah, Michael Biehn, but that's still.
Didn't they
true,
confirm
right?
Michael Biehn? I thought they confirmed that.
They didn't. They haven't confirmed any of this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Is it just feels like something's up with this season? Like somebody knows, and somebody's just taking their time to give it to other people. But I don't know.
Unless
that's speculation.
they're doing the JJ method where they give them false information to figure out who's leaking.
Well,
yeah.
Well, JJ clearly didn't do that good of a job of that.
Well, not this time around, but the first time he did.
Yeah. Well, John, you said it when you said that Mandalorian doesn't need any publicity for the second season. As it turns out, specifically on Star Wars Day or during that week, Star Wars: The Clone Wars was the #1 streamed show that was created for streaming content, if that makes sense. So like Friends was not created for streaming content, but it probably would have been the number, or The Office or something like that. Yeah. But a show that was created for streaming content, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, was #1, and they were #1 by a lot. And coming in #2, The Mandalorian season 1, right? And both of those shows beat out Netflix's hot hitter, which was Stranger Things. So this is actually pretty good news. And I'm trying to pull up the numbers, but it's really tiny on my screen for some reason. But it looks like the Clone Wars was even like
it was like
2.5 times more than the second highest, which was Mandalorian. So they had a lot of unique downloads for the show, and it was really, really, really big on May the 4th and the week surrounding it. But both of those shows being Disney Plus exclusives, both of those shows being Star Wars exclusives, kind of is interesting. You know what I mean? We say, are people sick of Star Wars fatigue? It's like you just got to make the content good. You got to make the content something that people want to go see, right?
Agreed.
So John, what do you think of these two shows taking the cake?
Clone Wars is not surprising to me, because if Stranger Things is third, that show hasn't put out a new season in over a year. So
yeah.
And so I don't know. I guess this is more of a shocking reality to any new shows that have come out on Netflix or Hulu or wherever else, not necessarily Stranger Things. The fact that Stranger Things is still #3 is like unbelievable.
Yeah,
I actually
so
agree.
Yeah.
So it was #3 was Stranger Things, then Money Heist.
Like, are people putting on Stranger Things as like background? Like, who's doing that? So there's people actually just rewatching Stranger Things.
Money Heist was Netflix #4. Titans on the DC universe was #5.
Like, is Tiger King
Harley
on there?
Quinn? No. Narcos for Netflix, Witcher for Netflix, Defending Jacob for Apple TV Plus, and The Midnight Gospel, which is a kids show.
Okay,
that was on Netflix.
And these are just shows, not movies, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. The Mandalorian is a little surprising because that came out for everyone else in March. So I think Mandalorian is the best news for Star Wars here, because Clone Wars. Here's the finale, and it's May 4th, and that makes so much sense, right? That's the epicenter, that's the eye of the hurricane right there for the end of this series too. So that does not necessarily surprise me. The fact that Mandalorian is still sitting there #2, we had seen season 1 6 months ago now, and everyone else got it in March, and they probably knocked that out as each episode came out, because they got all of season 1 well before May the 4th, right? For The Mandalorian? Am I right or wrong on that?
No, I think it might have ended right before May the 4th.
So they segmented that out at like 2 episodes a week or something like that?
Wait a second. What was the question? Oh, for European?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
It
got
was
like
once a
March,
week.
March 27th.
If I
they
remember,
got it.
I think they both aired on May the 4th. The problem is that the Europeans got the finale like at like midnight their time or something, which was like way before us.
I don't mean Clone Wars. I mean Mandalorian.
What are you talking about? Oh, Mandalorian?
Yeah, The Mandalorian came out weekly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Leading
Yeah,
up
I
to
don't know
May
about
4th.
Mandalorian. Sorry.
So I guess my question is The Mandalorian number 2 because it was the late release date for Europe and other areas? That's I guess the real factor for me.
I
there.
think so, yeah, because if this
That's a good
was
point.
pulling data in like November of last year, I think that would have been a little different.
Right. So
But
Yeah, we'll
it's
keep
good
talking. Let
news
me see
all
if I can
around for
confirm
Star
that.
Wars fans
yeah,
because
just let me know. I guess the most important thing for me to know here is when did The Mandalorian air as new to Europe and other areas, like the 8th chapter? Because if it was around May 4th, then that makes sense for it to be number 2. But if they gave them 2 episodes every week, which is what I think they did,
no, they
then
did one a week.
I don't know if that's true. But
I'm looking
Yeah.
to see if I can find it.
But I mean, either way, Star Wars is gonna put their flag on this and say like, look, we're great, we're still great, we're still 1 and 2. But
Good news for Filoni. That's what I
Yeah.
take out of this.
yeah,
But more than that,
2 episodes on March 24th,
Mm-hmm.
March 27th, April 3rd, April 10th, April 17th, and April 24th.
so it's about 10 days after the fact. Still number 1.
I think a lot of people turned on Mandalorian for Star Wars Day.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe people just threw
Like
on the
rewatches
Mandalorian
and
and let it
stuff.
run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, it's good. It's good news.
Oh, that was 7. Mandalorian episode 8, Friday, May 1st.
There you go. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay.
Why that one wasn't in bold when every other one was, I don't know why.
But I think regardless of dates, just looking at the sheer numbers of Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
over everything else, I think that says that, like James says, it's quality content for Star Wars fans that Star Wars fans want that they can watch on Disney Plus, means really good for projects that are either being considered for Disney Plus or in production for Disney Plus, because they're going, look, we don't have to do the movies, we could just do shows, and that many more people are watching it, and we have them subscribing to other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good for a thing like Make Solo 2 happen, because if you made a Solo series and you put it on a similar budget to The Mandalorian, which is rumored to be like anywhere from 60 to 80 million or whatever,
Right.
which is a lot different than 275 million, which Solo was. And you tell me that you're going to get a series that has Han and Chewie working for Jabba, Maul and Kira with Crimson Dawn, maybe more Lando, Enfys Nest, and I think that would be probably the number 1 show watched on streaming. And I think Disney's smart enough to understand that. So this is a good sign for stuff like that too. Stuff that isn't, like you said, Lacey, stuff in development, like the Leslie Headland stuff and all the other stuff that's going on, but also stuff that maybe
Considered.
they know that fans might want, that they may consider because of now the new technology with the volume. Like all these things can point to help these things that they were going to not do and
Right.
say, maybe we can put this back on the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's a little too bad we don't get we don't have any sort of statistics on like when Solo finally hit home release, or when it hit Netflix, or when it hit Disney Plus. Like what are the numbers there, and how many more people are watching it? You got to think Disney is seeing that stuff, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see in July, huh?
We will see in July what those numbers look like. Well, that's it for the Resistance Report. It's been a crazy 2 weeks that we're trying to tie up here. But let's get on with the rest of the podcast. Lacey, what's up next?
So up next, because it's Thursday, is the Patreon podrace. So there are lots of ways you can support us outside of hashtag Make Solo 2 happen. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can like this episode, comment, subscribe, tell your friends and family about us. We like new listeners. Hi, guys. Or If you want more of us beyond this episode and beyond conversing with us on social media, you can head over to patreon.com/resistancebroadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you can get all different types of content, video content, polls, Discord chats with us, monthly mailings, all different tiers with different access. And as you go up in the ranks, you get more and more stuff from us. We do so much content. It's like my brain kind of hurts a little bit because it's been a crazy couple of weeks. I love it, and we're loving that you guys are loving it. I mean, we've been nonstop doing crazy interviews and behind the scenes stuff and Mando fan show and regular episodes. So if you want more stuff, if you can't get enough, patreon.com/resistancebroadcast. So that being said, our generals, our top tier, get a thank you on the show. So I'm going to thank you to them. Thank them. Yeah.
So I'm going to thank you.
So thank you. See, but the funny thing is they're like, I love when Lacey messes up like this.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All right.
I'm hanging.
Vintage.
So is it vintage? I do it all the time. Okay, so thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Beer Fett, Russ, Kendall, and Val Trichkov. So thank you guys so much. And now we're going to head into the actual part of this segment because I've rambled enough, which is our pod race. So we give a general each week a chance to be on the show. We ask them a question. They get 60 seconds or less to answer. This week is General Melo over in España. And we asked him, would you prefer Taika Waititi makes a Star Wars movie in familiar territory or something completely new with no ties to any existing characters? Melo, take it away.
Hello guys, and greetings from España. First of all, I hope that you and yours are doing good, are safe and sound, and if not, hopefully everything gets resolved soon. Here in Spain, we're doing okay. Everything's, is solving little by little, and we're gonna be out of this soon. Taika Waititi, I love this guy. I really, everything that I see that he has done is great. I'm really happy that he's part of the Star Wars universe, and I'm hoping he makes something new. However, something tells me there's going to be some linkage to the Skywalkers and other characters because it's part of the universe. Well, that's all I have. Makes all to happen. Hopefully it's serious. And viva la resistance.
All right, Melo, thank you so much. We hope you are doing well too. Make Solo 2 happen. John, what did you think of Melo's answer?
Good. Yeah, it's tricky because you kind of touch on it where we don't know what new Star Wars means in terms of brand new, because so far everything that's been brand new gets reeled back in and connects somehow. And if the rumors are true, we're seeing that with The Mandalorian Season 2, right? So you make a good point. What is new Star Wars? Is it new, but will it always have something connected to something that existed before because it's in the same galaxy or universe, as you put it? It'll be interesting to see. I am curious how far Star Wars can stretch. Can they do something completely new that literally has zero ties to any existing character? Remains to be seen. So you make a good point there. And if you're going to have someone do something that could take some risks, maybe Taika Waititi's the guy. And I love that you love everything he does too, because I'm late to the Taika party, but I'm a fan of the guy, even his personality and his sense of humor and his talent. But I think you did a great answer, and thanks for the drop of the Make Solo 2 happening there. And I hope you're well too, man. I hope you're holding it down over there in Spain. I hope things are getting better over there. We're trying to dig our way out here, so hope you're doing all right. And thanks for being our longest term general, man. You're the best.
James?
Yeah, I think you're right, Mello. I think that because we take in all of Star Wars, right? So everything that they do that connects to something feels like it's connected to the stuff we've already gotten before. But, they do it right, I think, which is like they create the original trilogy and the prequels and the movies and stuff. And then they do like a spin-off show, and it's like Clone Wars. And only a small percentage of people even pay attention to that stuff. Then they do another thing called Mandalorian. It doesn't have anything to do with anything, but where the connections is their Clone Wars references. So it's like, for most people that are watching this for the first time, they don't know any of these characters. All of this stuff is completely new, and it still feels completely new. It's just, for anybody who has been paying attention, there's like that 10% good feeling. Like, I feel like I understand this better than anybody else. I feel connected. I'm glad that this is all part of one big story, and I can see it come together. I like that they do Rebels. We watch Rebels, right? Everybody watches Rebels, but the thing is, like, most people don't. Most Star Wars fans don't, or you know what I'm saying? Like the average Star Wars person. So connecting things to Rebels is cool, because anybody watching it is like, I don't see that. This is all new to me. Does that kind of make sense? But for people who are paying attention to all of it, it works. So I think your answer is spot on, man. Taika's going to be doing something new, but they're going to be connecting it somehow with another property, and hopefully not the movies.
Yeah.
Like other TV shows, other animated properties, other books. That'd be cool.
Mello, great job on the pod race. You're the best. Like John said, you are the longest general, sir. And I have been in the Taika party for a while. It's a good party to be a part of. So I'm on board with anything new that he comes up with. I think James said a couple episodes ago that he's going to come up with something new, and I agree. I think he's super creative and funny, hilarious actually. So he just seems like a really, really good director and writer to take on a new Star Wars story and challenge. So thank you so much. And now we're going to head to John for, surprisingly, Ask the Resistance.
Yes, so we couldn't get to your questions Monday because we did Resistance Transmissions on why you wanted Solo 2, why you wanted them to make Solo 2 happen. So we did questions for today, and you guys delivered, and we picked a few to get into here. So I think we have 3, and then we'll throw in the 4th, a little bonus question.
Bonus?
Yeah,
Bonus.
So we'll do, that'll be a fun one, I think, too.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right, so the first one is going to Lacey. Mike Sellers sent this one in, and he's at Puck32 Ellers. And Mike asked, what moment that you know happens but isn't on screen yet do you most want to see eventually? For me, the moment Obi-Wan finds out Anakin/Vader is still alive after he was left for dead on Mustafar. So Lacey, what's something that you know has happened but they haven't shown it to us yet, or we haven't seen it realized in a show or TV or a show or movie would you like to check out?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for your question. The moment that I would like to see is Han Solo and Chewie meeting Jabba for the first time. I want a Jabba puppet. # make Solo 2 happen.
That's a really good answer.
Thanks. I think it would be super fun. I want to see how that kind of, I wouldn't call it a relationship. It's more like a business relationship, kicked off.
You're throwing away a fortune.
Yeah.
Don't be a fool.
How it kicked off and how young Han handles that situation. And I think that, Solo Star Wars story set that up. I think we all want to see it. Like I said, I want a Jabba puppet. So, yeah. That's what I would like to see.
And the special editions, like Han, my boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he had to get to that point. He had to mess up a couple times, I bet. Because
Right.
as we see in The Force Awakens, they're like, how many times can you run away? He's like, you've done this 3 times. You've screwed us over. And he's like, what's the second time?
You're right. Yeah.
So I'm sure that behavior didn't just start in old age. So I think we can get a lot of hijinks and stuff. And yeah, it would be great.
I agree. Maybe we should get a GoFundMe just to literally get Lacey a Jabba puppet.
So like years ago, at Rhode Island Comic Con in the Northeast, some guy had a platform and a Jabba that basically is the puppet, but it's a model, a life-size one. And it was a big deal that he was there because it was the last time he was going to have it. And I guess he sold it to someone. And I was like, what is the price on that?
Yeah.
There
was
where
something
do you put that?
at Celebration. They had something similar. I remember seeing.
It's the same one.
It is that one. Okay. Yeah.
So there's a couple things that do all the shows. There's different models. A lot of the models you see at Celebration are actually from like a group of Belgian builders, like guys in Europe that build all these things and then they ship them over. They built the Millennium Falcon that people were taking photo ops in for Solo, and then they basically broke it into pieces and shipped it back over there.
That's just so crazy.
But yeah, it would be great. I love the Rancor that they ship around everywhere. Roxy the Rancor. That's really cool. But yeah, no, I really, really want a Jabba puppet. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for your question.
All right, James, Lord of Alderaan wants to know, is the concept of a special connection with one's own constructed lightsaber diminished with Anakin changing out Ahsoka's crystals in the Clone Wars?
Yes, but also no. So here's the thing. Like, I do think that there is a special connection to the weapon, and that is via the crystal. I think the lore has definitely set that up. That's the way they want to treat it. That it has also to do with the color of the saber and how the color is represented of your personality and how it can change and all sorts of stuff like that. There is actually a kind of an audio... I think he like recorded the answer or something and they played it back. It's on one of these like YouTube, like Star Wars Clone Wars download or something like that, where somebody kind of asked about what was the deal with the fact that they were blue. And this is where he answered that Anakin just simply like switched out the crystals, to make him, to give her a little bit of edge of like reminder of him. Right. And I think that is why Ahsoka doesn't have a connection to these sabers. Like, she left them because they were her Jedi weapons, but when they were given back and they weren't even hers personally, I think she used them, but had no problem, like, ditching them again. The other thing, too, that also kind of signifies is how Anakin is losing touch with what's important. So he has these and they should be her personal property, and he doesn't care. He does it selfishly to try to win her back over by taking the thing that makes it the most personal and removes that and replaces it with his own, agenda, if you will. So, I think that canon still holds up, and I don't think that they're, the only thing that I think is weird is the outside of like, why really bother to do it? Just leave them green. I don't think anybody would have cared or anything. But yeah, they made them blue. But now that exists, we're gonna kind of make sense of that, make logical sense, and try to see how the creators processed it, because we know the creators care.
Yeah, right on. Good answer. Does she show up? Is her first appearance in Rebels, does she have blue lightsabers and they're trying to figure out a way to make that work, or is it just
No, actually they've already screwed up the canon.
Yeah, okay.
So in the book she fights Maul and she has green lightsabers, and there's no
I heard something about that. Yeah, right, okay.
And when we saw it in the trailer, we're like, oh, they're blue, they're going to explain that, and they just kind of like didn't. They're just like, yeah, we made them blue.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, go back and read the book, they're green. So they just kind of like messed up.
That's all right.
It happens.
I think they did it on purpose, though. I just think they don't care.
Like,
after I just said the creators care.
Right. All right.
You know what I mean.
Of course.
Thanks for the question.
And he said that broke him, by the way, them doing
That's
that.
really sad.
So yeah, I hope you feel better, Lord of Alderaan. All right, Star Wars Steve at Spoony1 asked, did you think that the Make Solo 2 Happen movement would morph into what it has become today? Monday was just so great. It really felt like hope. You all must be so proud of what you've managed to achieve with this to enable people to come together. It was amazing. No. My answer to that is no. It was an idea for a funny t-shirt that I thought people would get a kick out of because the movie didn't do well, and then it kind of developed his own personality when I'm walking around New York Comic Con with the t-shirt and people were giving me high fives and saying, yes, they should make another solo movie. And then the three of us are at Celebration and people are losing their minds over it, including creators, back when they were okay talking about it for some reason. But no, and you know, like I said yesterday and at the top of this thing here, if they don't make more Han and Chewie stuff, it's good to know that we were able to cultivate something that fans can positively get around and have fun in a social media space in Star Wars, which is really hard to come by these days. So definitely proud of that. Anything you guys want to add to that?
No.
Okay. But no.
I was tempted to make a joke, but I'm not going.
Oh, you can make a joke. Yeah. What's the joke?
No, you won't like this joke.
Oh, right. That'll be on the director's cut of the episode, the Lord Miller cut. But no, I didn't think at all it would be like this. I mean, who's gonna think it's something? The hashtag they come up with is gonna be something that trends worldwide. It's absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And I told my mom about it. She's like, "That's nice."
It's so weird. It feels like a lot of family and stuff too. I'm like, well, we were trending worldwide last time we did it. They're like, cool, neat.
Kathleen,
my favorite is still last year when I was at work and someone came up to me like the next day and was like, hey, did you see that Make Solo 2? Like, people want to make another Solo? And I was sitting at my desk like, yeah.
Yeah, like I was like just in the middle of it on Monday, just like doing the tweeting and the responding to people and stuff like that. And Kathleen's talking to her mom on the phone. And her mom's like, so what are you guys up to? And she's like, well, Johnny's doing the Star Wars thing. They're trying to get a sequel going for a Han Solo movie. I'm just like, it's trending. It's trending. But no, I did not think it was going to be anything big. So it really, it's amazing. It really is. And I hope we don't have to ever do it again in terms of the day. We're going to keep the hashtag going. But hopefully they make it. So keep using the hashtag, Steve. And thanks for the question. All right, last one here. This is for all of us. JG Cars at JG_Cars. Very close, JG. Very close. He said, we all need some humor and lighthearted questions. We have heard people pitching Star Wars films and ideas for horror, comedy, even romance. I think we're forgetting about a classic genre, musicals. If done right, would you want this? Would you see it? And what's your ideal Star Wars musical? James?
I don't want it. I would see it. But if
Negative.
I had to like come up with an idea for, I'm kind of cheating because I think that Solo would have been a perfect musical.
Really?
Yeah, because I think you would have went back to the origins of Han Solo and he would have been like singing like to the moonlight about like a world of adventure that he wants to get into, and
like Aladdin
connection with Kira and all this other stuff. And then like it becomes like, not that musicals are kind of Shakespearean, but there's like a whole kind of Shakespearean angle of like him and Kira, and then like she kind of portrays him at the end, you know. And I think it would have made a really, like, I'm almost picturing like Aladdin, like live action.
That's
Aladdin,
what I just, yeah,
you know,
yeah, Aladdin.
Yeah, and it like somehow makes me feel like the cinematography or something is kind of like similar to Solo's in a way, but yeah.
Han singing "You've Never Had a Friend Like Me" or whatever,
yeah,
or Chewie singing that to Han. Lacey, what about you?
So I love musicals, actually. I don't know if I can see Star Wars being a musical. I kind of like just hold Star Wars in like a different box, I would say. Like I couldn't ever see that transition happen. Growing up, I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was like one of the first shows I ever really got into. And there's a whole Buffy musical episode, which is fabulous, wonderful. So I guess the farthest I could picture something is similar to what James said, is like a Solo. If they do a Solo series, I could see an episode being a musical episode where they sing.
What? That's even worse.
It's not, though, because you can explain it better than a whole movie. Like in Buffy, it was like the idea was like a demon shows up that makes everybody sing. So it was like explained away. kind of.
That's Buffy.
I know. But that was my answer, James. Thank you so much for criticizing it. You're welcome, JG.
I really don't want a Star Wars musical now. I think if they did
the discourse has already started.
Yeah. Would I see it? Probably not, because musicals are expensive. I'm thinking about like on Broadway. This is what
I thought you meant like, would you see it? As in like, I wouldn't see it.
No, I wouldn't go see it. No. Especially a solo one. But if they did one, I could see.
What if Solo 2 was a musical?
Are we on the same page? Because John's thinking like it's playing on Broadway,
yes,
and it's like
right.
Hamilton,
but
and the
they
tickets
make a
are really
movie out of it,
expensive,
too.
and you got to go
Yeah.
to so place to see it.
Yeah.
Oh no,
not
I
like
was
a
taking
movie.
it like it's got to be a TV show or a movie because that's the format that Star Wars is in right now.
In which case, John would probably see it, right? If it was
I don't know.
if it was a movie.
I'm not a big musical guy, really. But if they made one, I could see them doing like young Anakin, like in the similar way you were explaining your Han version, James, where he's like this orphan boy and he's like, but I have powers that I don't know of yet.
Anakin is pretty dramatic, so.
And he's like in Watto's like shop, just throwing stuff around, like I want to do stuff.
No
and then he
one
just starts singing.
understands me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Is Star Wars not a musical? Have they not like licensed that out yet?
no.
No.
Star Wars the musical?
The closest we got to that is like the holiday special.
Which was pretty close.
Right. All right, so James said Han Solo. Lacey said,
You said
Solo
Anakin.
2. And
No,
I'm saying
not
young
Solo
Anakin.
2. I said a Solo series, 1 episode.
That's amazing.
I want to specify.
Imagine if The Mandalorian had one episode where there was like they got invaded by
I'm
an
picturing
alien that made them
behind the scenes of
sing.
Attack of the Clones where Jango Fett has his like singing in the rain. He's got the umbrella. You ever see that famous behind the scenes shot? Yeah. That's pretty funny. So
nobody would have taken to that.
So JG wanted some lighthearted and humor, and we laughed about it. So there you go. You win, JG. Good job. But that's it. That's the end of the questions. Keep them coming because we are going to be recording some more tonight probably. So keep questions coming using hashtag #AskTheResistance. And you know what? I got to be honest. If a lot of news doesn't fire up the next couple of days, maybe we do a little full Ask the Resistance on Monday or something.
I
Who
love
knows?
those episodes.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
So send in the questions to Twitter at RBATSWNN. If you're not on Twitter, I know some people ask like, well, how do I get in touch with you guys? I'm not on Twitter. I don't like Twitter. You know what? First of all, I'm jealous of you sometimes. And second of all, you can email us at resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page too that we're trying to actually start paying attention to because apparently that's not going away. And, Instagram, we have an account there and a lot of ways to get in touch with us. But send your questions using hashtag #AskTheResistance if you do it on Twitter. So this way we could find them easier. And we'll get you on the show, talk about your handle, have fun. That's what we like to do around here. And hopefully give you some well thought out
James
answers.
will shame you for your musical choices.
Oh, Lacey, jeez. Come on.
That was a bad example.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of the Resistance. If you're new, once again, make sure you do subscribe to us because we have 2 episodes every week on Mondays and Thursdays and a lot of other content on the YouTube channel and the Mando Fan Show and a lot of other stuff. And, of course, as Lacey talked about before, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. If you want to support us, tier start at just $2 a month. We have our Empire Strikes Back commentary coming soon. And we have 9 mini episodes, a lot of good stuff for you guys. But subscribing is the key. So Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to us. Go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast. The Solo Red variant is gone. You had your shot, okay? Some of you took advantage of it. We really appreciate that. You're going to look kind of cool. Everyone else, you missed it. But all the other cool Make Solo 2 Happen stuff and our other designs, mostly designed by James, are there for you on the store. So go check that out and get some swag. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James?
Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Lacey?
Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran.
And we hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we hope you have a good weekend. We hope everyone's staying safe, doing well. If you're a Makes It a Little Too Happen person, keep using that hashtag. It doesn't have to be just on the day. Let's keep that going. Enjoy your weekends. We'll be back with you guys on Monday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance Broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.